Alright, good morning everybody. I'm going to talk my second video here today. I'm getting ready to go out and do my 20-mile ride this morning. On Saturdays I try to push myself and go a little harder for a little longer ride. A couple things I figured I'd share with you to make sure that you have if you're going to go start biking. The first thing to make sure you do is make sure you stay hydrated, right? Have a lot of water before you get out. Always good to have your water bottle full. Simple thing, I think everybody knows that, but hydration is definitely a key when you're going to do a 20-mile ride. I'll be on the bike for the next hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, so I need to make sure that I have the stuff I need and I'm prepared. The other thing that's going to sound weird, I always bring a little something with me, maybe a little bit of sugar. Nothing crazy, it's not going to add a lot of calories to my day, but it's going to give me something that I have. If I get out on the road and I get tired, or if I start to feel a little, maybe I'm losing some energy, I have a little something there. So it's important to make sure that you have something when you're on the road. I'll usually take, longer rides, I'll take an energy bar, or I'll take some almonds, but on a shorter ride like this, that it's an hour and a half or so, you want something that's going to be instantaneous. So if you need sugar, you have something that's there right away. I like jelly beans. Some people take, some gummies, things that last a long shelf life, that don't take up a ton. The other thing is, make sure you have a good helmet, right? Again, I know it sounds simple. There are a lot of helmets out there. Some of them are very inexpensive. If you buy a helmet, just make sure you invest one that has what they call MIPS. It's going to protect your head. It's going to make sure that you're in a good position if something does happen. You don't think it ever will, but it's very possible. I ride a lot. I ride 7 days a week now. I can't tell you how many times that someone's almost run me off the road, or I've had to be really on purpose. Also, make sure you have good eyewear. I'm wearing the Bose sunglasses. I'm a huge fan of these because it lets me listen to music as I'm riding without having to put earphones in, so it doesn't distract me from the road. The road we're going to ride today, there's some pretty cool scenery, so I'm going to take some video for you on here and share that with you. Hopefully you guys like it, and then I can tie into my weigh-in today. It's going to be close. I'm right on the cusp of losing some weight this week, so we'll see where we are. Should be pretty cool. Then the last thing I'll share with you is, I do have my phone holder on here. It's always good to, make sure you keep your phone in your pocket. As you're doing this work, but as you're doing your rides, you want to make sure that you've set yourself in the best situation to be safe. Having the phone holder there lets me keep my phone in my pocket, not have to worry about it. If people do call me, I can get the phone call through the sunglasses so I can still hear what's going on. Play some music, right? I just have better control, better visibility. So looking forward to getting on this ride today. It's a beautiful Saturday. The weather's perfect. It's like 70 degrees. It's not too humid. It's early in the day. There shouldn't be a ton of traffic out there. So I'll share some scenes from the road from you and see everybody soon. Thanks. I love about riding is, obviously the freedom. You get to get out. It's just you on your bike, enjoy the time away from yourself. But one of the challenges is, when you live in a fairly busy area like I do, you got to worry about traffic. You want to be smart. Like I said earlier, make sure you wear your helmet. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Know your bike. Check your equipment before you go out. I always check the air in my tires to make sure I'm good. I learned that lesson a few weeks ago when I was 8 miles into a 15-mile ride. You got a flat, and I called my wife to come grab me. It's always good to have some tools, but you always want to make sure you're in a great position to get out and see what you have. And you can see we're coming up to a red light here. Be respectful of traffic. You might have the right of way, but they're a lot bigger than you, and you don't want to get caught up in that. You'll see as you're riding, you're going to come up to, obviously hills, and that's always a challenge for everybody. I don't know anyone that loves a hill riding. I don't, but it's always fun to, get up and get some speed. On a road like this, I'll end up going, 25 or 30 miles an hour downhill, and then on the uphill, we'll be back, doing, probably 10 to 15 miles an hour. My average for me is usually between 12 and a half and 13 and a half miles an hour. Broke my record last week for my fastest 20 miler, so maybe we can do something like that today. Part of the thing you'll see when you head up a hill too, you have a choice, can you stay in the seat, lower your gear, or
get up and kind of pedal through it. I like to do both, depending on where I'm at in my ride. So you know, have a lot of fun. You know, don't dread the hills. It's great to challenge yourself, and then you get the cool part of the downhill where you get some really good speed, and it's always a lot of fun to see. Okay, so one of my favorite areas to ride, I know it's probably tougher to see around here, but you know, there's all these beautiful old houses. It always gets me excited. You know, I think about my rides. I think about, you know, what am I going to look at? You know, there's a lot of boring rides out there. We're in Dedham. This area of Dedham has a ton of old houses. We just passed a house built in 1818. Across the street is 1799. So it's just cool to see all this history and all the stuff that's out here. We're going to go by one of the oldest cemeteries in the country, and I know it's definitely one of the oldest in Massachusetts. It was founded in the 1600s. So when you have cool things to look at, it's gonna kind of motivate you. You want to find a few different things. One is, do I find the right hills? Do I find the right path? How do I go out and find things that are going to motivate me to stay on this ride? You know, because sometimes, again, you're going to be in your seat for, you know, anywhere from an hour and a half to, you know, my 50-mile ride a couple weeks ago, I was on the bike for 4 hours. And there were definitely parts of the road that were very boring, weren't really exciting. So trying to find things in those rides that are going to keep you motivated, keep you going. Again, 1890, 1765 over here. So just cool to see a lot of the history down here. That kind of keeps me going and motivated on some of these rides to kind of keep going and seeing some cool different things. So we come up to Village Road up here, Village Ave. We're going to take a turn, and like I said, we're going to pass one of the oldest cemeteries in Massachusetts. Now, the nice thing is we can get this ride in, but also enjoy it, right? See some really cool things, some different stuff you haven't seen before. For me, I just get a kick out of history, so being able to go through and see all the old gravestones, you know, the history in here. A lot of these you can't even read. This is one of my favorite walks too at night. So if I'm trying to go out, this is about a 4-mile loop from my house. I really love it. So it's just kind of cool to see all this old stuff, all the great architecture in the area. You know, that's one of the beautiful things about living in New England. We have some really, really cool scenery on our rides. And the reality is, other than 2 or 3 months a year, the weather isn't too oppressive with the heat and everything too. So just kind of a cool area. One of the things I love to see, I'll show you in just a couple minutes. We're going to attack a pretty aggressive hill, and we'll talk about what we do around those hills. All right. So we're coming up to a street here that's pretty cool. It's again, pretty wooded, a lot of beautiful homes in the area. Coming up by one of the Catholic high schools up here. Just a really nice area, pretty quiet most of the time. What I love about a lot of the rides I get to do in my area, a lot of it's shaded, a lot of it's very comfortable. So, you know, there's not a ton of traffic in the area, especially on a Saturday. It's relatively quiet, you know, as we get ready to head into the summertime. And again, just some really cool architecture, a lot of older homes. But I wanted to talk about when we're gonna come up to this hill, right? So again, Dedham, not a fan. This one's pretty steep. So again, I have a couple of choices. So as I start to get up here, a couple of things you want to keep in mind. So we're heading into this little downhill area here, right? We got to pick up some speed. You obviously want to take as much momentum and velocity with you as possible as you start to attack the hills. Definitely makes it a little easier. But also, you got to be smart when you start to really start getting after the hills if you're just starting to ride. As I talk to a lot of folks that just start getting into it, they really do struggle with trying to figure out, you know, how do I avoid hills? How do I find areas that aren't as challenging? And what I always talk about is, you know, you don't want to skip a ride because you don't want to take on a hill, but you have to be smart, right? So we're starting to come up to the hill. It's going to get a little more aggressive as we go. So as I get to here, what I want to do now is I want to preemptively shift down into a lower gear that's going to be easier for me to pedal. And again, I told you I have a couple of choices here. I can continue to go through my gears, which I'll do. It allows me to stay in the seat and, you know, kind of sit back and be comfortable on the ride. I'm going to lose some speed. Now, the other option you always want to try to do is obviously shift into a gear that keeps your legs kind of moving at the same pace. Or, again, as you ride, you have the ability also now to kind of get up out of your saddle. Now, when I do that, I typically like to go down to a higher, more aggressive gear. That's going to allow me to pedal a little bit more vigorously and keep a little more speed. What I found in a lot of instances is that's where I'll lose a lot of my speed is in some of these hills. So a couple of choices of what you want to do. What I would just say is There's no wrong answer. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine, Rob, a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about ride up hills, and you know, it's, do you attack it? Do you stay in your seat? It depends. You know, where are you in your ride? How comfortable are you? How are your legs feeling? You know, for me, you know, I'm pretty far into my ride today. My legs are a little tired, so I'll take it a little easier on the hills and try to make up some speed on the downhills and get after it and have a lot of fun. So, you know, right here coming up, we have a pretty easy downhill coming up. It does go to a pretty steep uphill again, but what I love about this again is it allows you on the downhill, you do the work on the uphill and you kind of keep pumping your legs. You'll see I'm always trying to keep my legs moving at a similar speed. I don't want to slow way down. Now, a lot of people struggle with the gears. They want to stay at a certain gear, but they're not as comfortable as using, you know, all the gears available to them. This bike has two gear sets on the front and 9 on the back, right? So I have the ability to change gears quite a bit, so I can kind of customize my ride. So now I'm going to be in the most aggressive gear that I have that's going to allow me to get the most speed when I'm pumping my legs. And I always want to do that when I go into a downhill like this. Again, we talk about, you know, having to go up the uphills. The downhills are so much fun, right? We're probably going 30 miles an hour right now. You know, we're picking up some really, really good speed. You can hear a lot of wind noise, I'm sure, but it's just a ton of fun. And you get to enjoy that. You'll see as we come up here, we're now coming back up to this last hill. That's going to take us back to the ride as we get back home. And again, not a super aggressive hill, a little bit of a steep angle. So we switch down a couple of gears. You know, we get up out of the saddle and kind of pump our legs to the end so we can get to the last part of the road for the ride home and bring ourselves home and enjoy it. All right, so we finished the ride today. Pretty good ride. We end up getting in, I end up getting 20 miles in about an hour, 23 minutes, which is my fastest time by about 4 or 5 minutes. So really, really cool. I know I was talking yesterday about how I was doing my weight loss. Not a great week. I lost a pound. I'm down to about 213, so that puts me on 109 pounds since I started. You know, I'm shooting for a goal like 3 weeks from today. It'll be my birthday, and I would love to be under 200 pounds. It's gonna be tough. I have to get really, really serious the next few weeks around the diet and focus really hard on the workouts, but I'm pretty excited to do it. Look for me this week to actually have a pretty cool video around how to make a lower calorie cheeseburger for the 4th of July. That should be coming up, you know, midweek, Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on what the weather does. Give me a chance to get out there on the grill, but I'll show you some really cool options on how to make that to be either, if you're doing Weight Watchers like I am, lower points, healthier, you know, using lower fat ground beef, reduced fat cheese, some really cool options. We actually found some buns that are a little bit lower points, so then we're gonna do it with carrot fries, right? So you can have your burger and fries, still taste great, and it'll come out and be really, really cool. So thanks for taking a look. Look forward to seeing you guys all in the week. Thanks.